The wind howled a mournful dirge, tearing at my borrowed form. Tonight I was a raven, slick black feathers plastered against my skin, battling the storm's fury. I, Kai, am a shapeshifter, a creature of mimicry, a ghost in borrowed flesh. I flitted through the night, a silent observer, seeking something I wasn't sure what anymore. The constant shifting, the endless cycle of becoming had blurred the edges of my own identity, leaving me adrift in a sea of Suddenly, the air shimmered, the storm intensifying into a vortex of blinding light. I tried to fight it, my raven claws scrabbling against the invisible barrier, but it was useless. I was sucked into the swirling chaos, a scream tearing from my avian throat as the world dissolved around me. Then, silence. An unnatural, suffocating silence. I was no longer flying. I was falling below me. Impossibly, hung an island, not an island anchored to the ocean floor, but a floating landmass, wreathed in ethereal mist, its jagged peaks piercing the clouds. Trees unlike any I had ever seen clung to its slopes, their branches adorned with glowing, bioluminescent fruit. Dot. I slammed into the soft earth with a bone-jarring thud. The raven form dissolving to be replaced by my default human shape. A tall, lithe figure, androgynous in appearance, with stark white hair and eyes that shifted between shades of silver and gray. I groaned, pushing myself up, disoriented and terrified. What is this place? I whispered, my voice hoarse. As if in answer, a figure emerged from the swirling mist. It was a woman, tall and regal, with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that glowed with an inner light. Dot. Welcome, traveler, she said, her voice resonating with an ancient authority. You have arrived in Aerthos, the isle between worlds. She paused, her gaze piercing. And you, I sense, are not of this world, nor any other truly your own. I hesitated. I am Kai. I am a shapeshifter. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Indeed, Aerthos calls to those who are lost, those who are between, those who do not quite belong. But be warned, traveler. Aerthos offers sanctuary but demands a price. A price? I asked, my apprehension growing. You must bind yourself to this realm, but know this, traveler. Aerthos is a prison, albeit a beautiful one. Once bound, you can never truly leave. She turned and gestured towards the distant city. Come, I will show you our world. She introduced herself as Lyra, the guardian of Aerthos, and she led me through the city, a place of impossible beauty and unsettling quiet. The inhabitants, the Aerthians, were graceful and elegant, with elongated limbs and eyes that shimmered with the same ethereal light as Lyra's. But beneath the surface of serenity, I sensed a profound sadness, a melancholic acceptance of their fate. Lyra explained that Aerthos was a nexus point, a place where realities intersected and bled into one another. It drew in those who were displaced, those who were lost between worlds, offering them refuge but trapping them within its ethereal embrace. To survive, they had to accept the binding, a ritual that connected their life force to Aerthos, granting them immortality and power, but severing their ties to their original worlds. The idea of being trapped, of losing the freedom to shift and explore, was abhorrent to me. But the alternative was to be cast back into the storm, to be lost in the endless void between realities, a fate even more terrifying. As days turned into weeks, I learned more about Aerthos and its inhabitants. I met Ilara, a young Aerthian woman who had been trapped on the island for centuries. She possessed a vibrant spirit, but her eyes held a deep sorrow, a longing for a home she could no longer remember. He was cynical and world-weary, but beneath his hardened exterior I saw a flicker of hope, a desperate desire for connection. I started to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of community I had never experienced before. Ilara and Kaelin became my friends, my confidants. We shared stories, we laughed, we mourned our lost lives together. But the lure of the binding remained a constant, nagging presence. One day, Lyra summoned me. "The time has come, Kai," she said, her voice grave. you must decide. Will you bind yourself to Aerthos, or will you face the unknown? I looked at Alara and Kaelin, their faces etched with concern. But the thought of losing my freedom, of being forever tethered to this floating island, still filled me with dread. I don't know, I stammered. I need more time. Lyra sighed. Very well, but know this, Kai. Time is a precious commodity in Aerthos. Use it wisely. In the following days, I noticed strange occurrences. The mist surrounding the island grew thicker, the light dimmer. The Earthians became more withdrawn, their faces etched with fear. I overheard whispers of a growing darkness, a corruption that threatened to consume Aerthos. What is happening? I demanded. The binding is weakening, she confessed, her voice trembling. The connection between Aerthos and the other realities is fraying. A shadow is encroaching, a malevolent force that seeks to unravel the fabric of our world. What can we do? I asked, my heart pounding. There is only one way to restore the balance, Lyra said. We must venture into the heart of the island, to the well of souls, and rekindle the ancient flame. But the path is fraught with danger. The shadow has already begun to corrupt the land, twisting the creatures of Aerthos into monstrous parodies of their former selves. I couldn't stand by and watch Aerthos be consumed by darkness. I would fight, even if it meant risking my life. I told Lyra I would join her, and she nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. We gathered a small group of warriors, including Alara and Kaelin, and set out on our perilous journey. The once pristine landscape was now scarred and twisted, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. The glowing fruit on the trees had rotted, their light extinguished. The creatures of Aerthos, once gentle and graceful, had become grotesque and aggressive, their bodies warped and distorted by the encroaching shadow. Alara wielded a staff that channeled the power of the stars. Kaelin swung a massive blade forged from solidified moonlight, and I shifted between forms. Adapting to the challenges we faced, I became a hulking bear. Tearing through enemies with brute force, I transformed into a swift falcon, scouting ahead and warning of danger. I even briefly shifted into a monstrous version of myself, a creature of pure shadow, mirroring the corruption we fought against. But each shift took its toll, draining my energy and blurring the lines between my true self and the borrowed forms. We were ambushed by a powerful entity, a being of pure shadow that seemed to feed on our fear and despair. It was the embodiment of the corruption that plagued Aerthos, and it was determined to stop us from reaching the well. The battle was fierce and brutal. The shadow entity unleashed waves of darkness, attempting to consume us, to break our spirits. Alara's starlight flickered, Kaelin's blade dulled, and my shifts became more erratic, more difficult to control. I felt myself slipping, the shadow threatening to overwhelm me, to turn me into another corrupted creature. Kai, you must embrace your shifting, you must become the balance. Her words resonated within me, igniting a spark of understanding. I realized that my shifting wasn't just a curse, it was a gift. I could become anything, adapt to any situation, embody the light and the darkness. I closed my eyes, focusing on the energy that flowed through me, the raw power of transformation. I embraced the chaos, the uncertainty, the endless possibilities of my being. Possible. And then I shifted, not into a bear, not into a falcon, not into a creature of shadow. I became a being of pure energy, a swirling vortex of light and shadow, a perfect embodiment of balance. With a roar, I unleashed a wave of power, shattering the shadow entity into a million pieces. The darkness receded, the air cleared, and the land began to heal. We reached the Well of Souls, a shimmering pool of ethereal energy at the heart of the island. Lyra stepped forward and plunged her hand into the well, channeling its power into the binding. The island shuddered, the mist receded, and the light returned to Aerthos. But the victory had come at a price. Lyra was weakened, her connection to Aerthos strained. She knew that she wouldn't be able to maintain the binding for much longer. She turned to me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and hope. Kai, she said, you have proven yourself to be a true guardian of Aerthos. You have embraced the balance within you. I believe that you are the only one who can take my place." I was stunned. "But I'm not an Earthian. I'm a shapeshifter. I don't belong here." "You belong wherever you choose to belong," Lyra said. "I believe that you are that person." I looked at Alara and Kaelin, their faces filled with encouragement. I thought about the people I had met, the friendships I had forged, the life I had built on Aerthos. I realized that I had found a home, a purpose, a reason to stay. I made my decision. "I will do it," I said, my voice filled with determination. "I will become the guardian of Aerthos." Lyra smiled, a look of peace on her face. She guided me through the ritual, a complex and ancient ceremony that bound my life force to Aerthos. As the ritual concluded, Lyra's body dissolved into stardust, her essence merging with the Well of Souls. I was the guardian of Aerthos, the protector of the Isle Between Worlds. My life changed. I no longer shifted for survival, but for purpose. I used my abilities to heal the land, to protect the inhabitants, to maintain the balance between realities. I became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in the darkness. But the weight of responsibility was heavy. I knew that the shadows would return, that the balance would always be threatened.